Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Catching Up with JB. I got the extreme honor of having Detroit, Michigan's own Asia Boyd on the show tonight. Asia, welcome to the show.
Hello, thanks for having me. I appreciate you.
So Asia is born and raised from Detroit, Michigan. She went to high school at Renaissance High School in Detroit and then went on to play 4 years of college basketball at Kansas University. Asia, what was that like going from Detroit to Kansas?
Ooh, that's a good question. And I really love answering this question because it was probably like almost like if I can explain, the analogy like having like a fish out of water. Because for me, it was just getting there and getting on the consistency of the schedule, understanding where the buildings were, understanding my body. So there was so many changes that were happening at one time. And I always try to explain it from a 17-year-old's perspective, but everything was moving very fast. Everything was very fast.
So you were a four-time All-City pick in high school,
Yep.
two-time All-State selection.
Yep.
And you were Miss Detroit Public School your senior year.
Yeah.
Led the Phoenix to back-to-back second-place state finishes your junior and senior year. You led them to a state title your junior year. So what was it like being a four-time All-City pick and a two-time All-State pick?
Right. So I'm gonna give you both. I'm gonna give you two perspectives. So the in it, and I say in it like thinking about when I was 16 or 17 and actually going through it, I had no idea. Um, I guess it's just the freshness of just having fun still and just getting your feet wet. And so you don't really understand sometimes, like, okay, you might actually be onto something, or you might, you really don't realize that sometimes when you're in the motion of things. So I think that's the kind of mindset that I used to have. Now, looking back on it, I think it was pretty amazing the things that was able to do at that age. But I'm just grateful that I had the people around me to kind of push me and keep me grounded during that time as well. Because there were so many distractions and so many things going on. So I'm very grateful for my coaches and my teammates and things like that.
So you were named Miss Detroit Public School your senior year. How honored were you when you were named Miss Detroit Public School?
Super, that's a really big honor. The city basketball here is high level. Like a lot of teams don't make it out of the city going to states, and so to have that and to know the women before me that got that award, I think that's the biggest piece. It's like there are a lot of idols or people that I even looked up to that were named Miss PSL. So it was pretty exciting for me. It was super exciting, and I was very honored to be Miss PSL coming out 2011.
So is that like kind of like a Player of the Year award for Detroit?
Yeah, I guess it's considered the best player for that year. So when I was coming out, it was specific for seniors, but now they've opened it up to freshmen, sophomore, junior, senior. So you got to be good. Got to be good to get that award.
You guys took second place your last 2 years of high school. How heartbreaking was it to you to not get that ultimate state championship?
You probably gonna be able to play this back and see my face. So like, because it's still sting. I'm still singing from those losses, but it's something that I still talk to some of those girls too from the other team because we were very close. We played AAU together, so it was tough. I don't even think I hung out with some of my friends for about a week or two, but I think getting that close in any division, right? So we're talking about high school, college, pro level, but getting that close and working that hard all season and not being able to get the ring or to finish the job is gut wrenching. So I don't have a lot of words. All I got is pain, pain, pain.
Yeah, it's very, very heartbreaking just to.
Well, I did, during that time we did get three city championships so in a row, and that kind of propelled us to really have the attitude and the swag that we needed to even go and compete at the state level. Going up in the president, we play up at Michigan State here in East Lansing. That's where the championship games are held for Michigan basketball. So, I mean, it's pretty intense. It's pretty high level, and once we get to that, we think we played. I don't know. I know my senior year we played Inkster High School and lost, but I don't remember who we played junior year.
Yeah, that is very heartbreaking. Just to, I mean, your junior year, you got there, you get that experience, and then you take second, and then you're like, okay, we know we can get there. We've been there. We can get to the championship game, and then your senior year, you get to the championship game. Then it's like the same result, and then you're like,
Oh, sure.
that was my chance.
That was my chance to shine. No, but I really I wanted to walk away with a ring. I talk about it a lot, and I actually just saw my high school coach not too long ago, and so we were talking about that game. But just running stuff back, it's funny you can run back those games and really get into it, like after all those years, and have the same feelings.
So I like how you just brought up your high school coach. You played for head coach Diane Jones.
Yeah.
So you moved in with your high school coach your senior year of high school.
Yes.
What did that do to you mentally?
Mentally. So home life, I think over my high school time was just kind of up and down a lot for me. What propelled us or even got me to living with Coach Jones was my house burned down senior year. So I kind of was in a situation where I could have moved in with family, and I was kind of, I think I had about 2 or 3 months of school left before I had to go to Kansas. But there were a lot of things that I had to cross off my list, and I needed to be central to school. So my coach kind of brought up like, hey, I think it's, to be smart for you, especially these last couple months, to kind of lock in and get ready for school. And so that's what my family decided was the best thing for me to do. And I was able to. Coach Jones was great. I was able to train. I was able to work out and just be comfortable again and in a safe environment, which is important as I'm getting older
Yes.
for teenagers, yeah, and adolescents. So very grateful.
What was it like growing up in Detroit?
Uh, Following, but like fun. Then like it was like dangerous, and at the same time, you when you're younger, you really don't even understand what's going on. But we had a high crime rate at the time. I think we were like when I came out of high school, we were number one in the whole country for crime. So I say fun from the perspective of being able to be in a community and having parks and recs and things to go to. Now, when I was leaving, a lot of those buildings were closing because the crime was so high. So they started to kind of say, well, like we want if you're 16 or under, you need to be in the house at this time. And so these were city rules and state rules that we had, and to make sure that we were inside of buildings and inside of areas to be safe. So I think I don't know, leaving at the time probably was the best decision, but growing up, I think it gave me a certain level of toughness, and it prepared me a lot for the things that I endured on my own after school.
That
So
makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So coming out of high school, ESPNHoopGirls.com had you ranked as the 39th best player in the country, the ninth best guard, the second ranked player in all of Michigan. What did those numbers mean? Any of those rankings ever mean anything to you?
uh I want to say yes and no. So like the perspective from so far as rankings goes, not something I really ever looked at and was like, oh, I'm ranked. And so I really was like one of those players I never really checked the score. I'm kind of just like a player's player. I like to just play. I'd look up at the last minute and go, oh my God, what's the score? Because I'm so in the game. I'm so into it. And so I don't really take those breaks to look at some of the accolades and stuff. But I do remember like my AAU coach RJ, or Coach Eddie, he goes by RJ Eddie, but I remember him pulling me to the side and he's like, you got to step your game up, your rankings are dropping and you got to kind of push the pedal to the metal. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. And so, like I said, having those coaches around you, I didn't even understand that my stock might have been dropping from a bad tournament. I was really like just in the game most of the time. I think maybe junior year is really when I tried to like lock in and start paying attention to the rankings. And I'm like, oh, okay. So these are the tournaments where I got to kind of lock in. I'm going to go for this and go for that. But generally, I would just play hard all the time. If I fell short, I fell short.
So I like how you just brought up RJ because that's me and you have a mutual connection with RJ. He's one of my.
Yeah.
He's been really close to you. You guys got a really close bond. He was your AAU coach. What was it like playing for him and Team Detroit?
Life changing. That's a grassroots. That's a very 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 much grassroots story. So the Eddie family. When I actually started playing basketball, I started with Coach Eddie, who is RJ's uncle, and Coach Eddie has coached at Central Michigan on the men's side. He's also a coach down in Florida on the men's side. But he's very very. Their family is very influential in Michigan and Detroit so far as basketball goes, and what they bring to the community. So I was in middle school and I was actually cheering on stage. That was my first sport. I was cheerleading. I was up there going hard. I looked down. I'm like, you know what? This might not be for me. So I jumped down and I saw Coach Eddie. I said, Coach Eddie, can I join practice? He kind of looked at me because I'm in my tutu, right? I'm cheering. He's like, you want to play basketball? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay, come back tomorrow. I come back tomorrow. And he's like dribbling around the gym. And so I started dribbling around the gym. So the story for me, even starting out with that family, was very, like I said, it's grassroots, just started from the bottom kind of story, right? I come to the gym, I'm dribbling for the first 6 months, I just dribble. They don't even let me shoot the basketball. So this is something like falling in love. I had to fall in love with the process of the whole thing. I had to fall in love with it from start to finish. So I'm grateful for them. I'm grateful for them.
That's crazy that you just said you were a cheerleader because
Yes, I was a cheerleader.
ever since I first met you, you would have told me that. Well, now you did tell me, and I still can't believe that one. That's
So I'm trying to find the pictures. Don't worry about it. I'll try to post.
so after high school, you were recruited by a lot of schools in the country, and you end up choosing Kansas. Why did you choose KU, and who did you choose KU over?
Good question. So I think my top 5 was Michigan State. Oh, now this is gone. Let me. I think it was Michigan State, Michigan, UCLA, Kansas. I don't remember what the South. Nope, that's South Carolina. Might have been South Carolina, but I got close. I got 4. I wanted to keep a lot of the Michigan schools here. Obviously, they were on the first part of my recruiting trail, and so because of that, I definitely wanted to kind of have that loyalty there and finish out my
Most
recruiting
definitely.
process. It's
Definitely.
well before portal talk, right? So we're talking about a lot of one-on-one conversations, a lot of relationship building, and those coaches have been recruiting me for years since like the 8th grade. And so it was important for me to make sure that they were part of the process as well. But I think for me, picking Kansas was it's the best school in America. I don't that was I went on a lot of visits. I've never been anywhere where people just loved. I can see the outcry and the port of love for basketball in everybody. It wasn't just people that were standing in the gym. I'm talking about everybody from people to get off the plane, Rock Chalk Jayhawk, all the way to campus, all the way back. So that
Like,
was one of my
yeah,
yeah.
it's that you drive around Lawrence and there's Jayhawks everywhere. There's sculptures of Jayhawks. You go to
Everywhere.
McDonald's on the highway, there's Jayhawks everywhere there. I mean, it's Lawrence. Um, we're gonna go into your freshman year. You saw action in 18 games.
Yep.
You poured in 11 points against Texas. You were 4 for 7 shooting to help KU complete a serious sweep of the Longhorns. And then you tallied 7 points in 22 minutes against top-ranked Baylor, and you appeared in KU's NCAA tournament games against Nebraska and Delaware. You went 2 for 6 from the field, including a three-pointer for 5 points in 13 minutes versus the Nebraska. What was that freshman year adjustment like for you coming from high school to Division I college? I mean, you're playing Power 5, Big 12 basketball, and coming from high school, you were kind of like, you were the star.
Yeah, I was a star, but I also, going to college at any state is a shell shock. I mean, you talking about the Big 12, right? We talking about Brittany Griner. We talking about Odyssey Sims on the wing. We talking about the guards at Texas is faster, stronger. Those are the things as a freshman that I had to just catch up on, right?
And you were away from home.
And I was away from home, so the skill level for me, I felt like was always there. I never felt like I couldn't compete, right? But there was a level of toughness and there was a level of tenacity that you just when you got to the Big 12, you would catch it night in and night out. It was never a night that you could take off, and so those things were different because I was coming from high school where we were blowing people out. Right, I'm 20. We were up 20, up 30. I get to Kansas and the games are closer. And this is every game. It's not just because we're playing Baylor. We're talking about Iowa State. So I mean Iowa State for sure. So just lock it in on I think I don't know, that change for me probably was just like the toughness of the league. That was the biggest shock for me.
And you were on a Kansas team that had Asia Sutherland, Angel Goodrich,
Yeah.
Danielle McRae. Like we're talking about 3 girls that are in the they're 3 of the all-time best players in KU
Yeah.
basketball that you got to play with for 2 years.
And that always helps, right? Because they already kind of had their feet wet. Aisha was already leading. She had been leading the league, leading the Big 12 for a while in rebounds prior to me getting there. But having those upperclassmen to be able to go to and talk to after my freshman workout, my very first workout, I couldn't walk, couldn't move, right? But being able to just knock on a door and talk to a senior or a junior who's already kind of went through that, that's always cool. And then I think that helps with the process too, being absorbent of that and understanding that everybody goes through it. So
Yes. So your sophomore year comes, you appeared in 33 games. You recorded your first double-double of your career against Grambling State. You had 15 points and 10 rebounds. And then you played a career-high 40 minutes and scored 11 points and 6 rebounds against K-State. So I'm going to stop right there. What was that rivalry like against K-State? Because, I mean, you're coming from Detroit. You don't really know how big, it's like Michigan State.
I know, right? But you also, like Detroit is one of those cities that we're kind of like we're loyal, right? So if you could understand like bad boys type of mentality, right? I was ready. I got there. I'm like, who is it? Who's our rival? So that's kind of the mentality I had. I kind of jumped. I jumped right in, like, yeah, let's go. Forget K State. And so it was pretty easy for me to attach that to myself. But again, too, having those upperclassmen who already played against them, so we're in practice and they're pulling that out of you. You know what I mean? And so that helps with that developing that camaraderie and it's fun. I mean, it's fun at the end of the day.
And that, like I said about the upperclassmen, because they let you know how big this rivalry is.
Absolutely.
Not just them, but you're going around town and the game's coming up. You hear people talking about it, or during football season, you hear people talk about it during football season. We got to find a way to beat K-State. So then that's
Exactly.
when you start realizing, oh yeah, these people, this is serious.
Serious. I
And
mean,
was Mizzou still in the Big 12 when you were there, or were they?
Mizzou was in the Big 12. K-State was in the Big 12. West Virginia had just got there, probably sophomore year. So we still had Texas A&M in the Big 12.
So I think you would have had Mizzou for your first 2 years.
Yeah, freshman and sophomore year, or maybe just freshman year even.
But your biggest rivalry would have been K-State because
K-State.
Mizzou was kind of there, not really there.
Mm-hmm.
So your junior year, you started 16 games. So you didn't start any games your freshman year, and then you didn't start any games your sophomore year. What kind of went through your head just going, okay, what's going on here?
Well, that process kind of started for me freshman year because I really did come in and I came off of just that hometown buzz and kind of getting those minutes and touching the ball every night. And so getting into college again at Big 12 basketball, I really had to understand how to score the basketball, how to be effective, for Coach Bounty and how she liked to play, kind of playing her style of basketball and things like that. So I think just adjusting to those things, I was more of kind of like a free reign player. I didn't have a lot of plays when I came out of high school. And so when I went into college and I did have to play in that system, I think that system adjustment was probably the biggest thing.
Your junior year, you started those 16 games. You played in all 32. You scored double figures 19 times during the season. You had a career high 25 against Texas Southern, a double-double against in your first career start against Oral Roberts. You had 17 points, 10 rebounds. Do you remember that game?
Not really.
Career college start.
I don't remember. This was junior year?
Yes.
I vaguely remember, but
Oral Roberts.
that sounded like I was ready to go off the rocket that way. You said I had what was the
You had 17 points and 10 rebounds.
Yeah, that sounds like I was ready to go. I was ready to rocket ship off of that one. I was ready to play. Probably was getting hungry.
Your guys' freshman year, you guys made it to the NCAA tournament for the first time. For the first time since 1999, 2000. And for the first time under head coach Bonnie Hendrickson. What was that moment like for you guys and the coaches just to get back to the tournament?
Huge. I mean, huge. And then, yeah, like it was my freshman year, right? So again, I'm getting my feet wet. I'm going on campus. I'm still trying to catch up to workouts. Next thing you know, we're in the tournament. So it goes very fast. Like I said, just adjusting to Big 12 basketball, going from Big 12, and now we're going into an even smaller pool of better guards, right? Better players. And so where you thought you met your match every night, now we're going into the tournament where girls are literally playing their last games. When you're getting into those environments, the competitive level goes so high. And so I don't know. For a freshman, I'm very grateful for that experience. It helps, right, when you get ready to go back into the Big 12, because now I'm ready to dominate and get back. Now we're ready to go back.
You guys were kind of a bubble team, and you guys
Yeah.
got in, and you didn't just go one and done. You won your first 2 games, got to the Sweet 16, and then I think you guys played Notre Dame,
Yes. Yes.
who had
Skylar. Oh no, they had
Skylar Diggins.
no, they had. Did they have Skylar that year?
Yeah, they
Yeah, and
had
I think we
Skylar
went
Diggins.
back and played Jewel Lloyd later. So yeah.
Yeah. But what was that like? Just you guys got there and you guys won a game, and then you guys, okay, we can do this, and then you won another game, and then next thing you know, you're going to the Sweet 16.
Uh, very fast. Again, it went very fast. But for me, like I said, as a freshman and seeing those seniors and seeing those juniors, kind of that's something they've been working for years. That's like a build up for them. For me, as a freshman, it was my first time coming in. I did have kind of that attitude of that winning attitude from high school, so it was kind of just like a smooth transition. We had the attitude, but the bang and the toughness, I
Right.
definitely learned that from the upperclassmen for sure.
So your senior year, you started 3 games. You played in all. I mean, you played in 28 games. You
Yep.
averaged 10.3 points per game. You had 20 points against Oklahoma State, and then the final 3 games of the year, you went on a complete tear. You had 19 points against Texas Tech with 11 rebounds. You had 22 points against Texas with 10 rebounds, and then 33 points against West Virginia. Was it just kind of like, okay, these could be my last games of basketball?
Last games of basketball, fighting it to place in the team, because I think that year, my senior year, we did not do well in the Big 12, and so I was not feeling good about that at all. Coming out into the going into senior year, it was really rubbing me the wrong, especially my freshman after freshman and sophomore and tasting the Sweet 16. It made me real sad, and so I think we kind of all looked at each other and had those conversations like, all right, we got to turn up this year.
So your guys' sophomore year, you made it to the NCAA tournament again
Yeah.
for back-to-back trips to the big dance for the first time since the 98, 99, 99, 2000 seasons. What was that moment like when you guys heard your name called on the selection show and going, oh my, we're going back to the dance for the second year in a row?
Huge, because like right, we got that first taste, that first dip into the tournament, and so we knew kind of going into the next season, like okay, we got the pieces, we had the pieces to be successful. We know what we have to do, and that's how we went into the second season. I think what did we play? Delaware. We played
Yes.
Delaware,
Hey,
and
you
we ended
played
up
Elena Deladon.
Deladon. Yes, Deladon at Delaware, as you all know. I think she's in the league now. She was an all-star as well, but
I think she's still in the league.
yeah, she was an all-star for sure, but shutting her down, the game plan for her. So we ran into some monsters for sure at the end. Monsters, as we like to say.
So you helped KU make it to back-to-back Sweet 16 appearances your first 2 years at KU. What was that like surviving and advancing in the big dance?
I think it's indescribable a lot of the times just because it's like something that you dream about like your entire that going to the tournament and being in the NCAA tournament is something I always imagined. When I finally got there, it was like a dream come true. And so I was very grateful. But then the competitive side of me is like, okay, how do I keep coming? How do I keep getting here? Right. And so just putting myself in that mindset, definitely think it helps change you as an athlete, as a competitor, and just as an overall human, because a lot of these things are transferable.
So your junior year, you guys didn't make it to the tournament and you didn't make it to the WNIT. What was that like in the locker room, knowing that feeling like we just failed? I mean,
It
not
didn't
really.
feel it did, but it didn't feel good. We lost those strong pieces. We lost Aisha Southern, and we know we had that was something big that we had to replace. That was
And
20
Angel.
20 plus rebounds a night.
Yeah.
Angel Goodrich, who's I think she had one of the highest ratios so far as her assist ratio. So these are big things that we're missing. These are national records that these girls were holding in.
And I'm
And
pretty
so
sure Aisha's still playing overseas. So
yep, she's still playing as well. We played each other. We crossed paths a few times over there, but filling those pieces in such a short time sometimes can be stifling. So I think we ran into that junior year, and then understanding like role changes, right? Because we weren't captains that year, so just getting into the roles of, okay, now we're captains. Now this is the leadership. This is how it looks. So that was probably the biggest transition.
You played with a lot of great players at KU. I mean, we kind of mentioned this earlier: Danielle McCray, Angel Goodrich, Aisha Sutherland. When you look back on your time there at Kansas, what do you take out of it?
I take a lot. Well, Danielle played before me, and so it's good because Danielle was kind of her game was kind of like a big blueprint for us, and what she brought to KU at the WNIT tournament. And so that's something that we watched, and she came back and spoke to us a few times, and so it was in our blood, so to speak, so
Oh,
far
I
as
mean,
the team
not
goes.
Danielle McCray. I'm thinking of Chelsea Gardner.
Chelsea Gardner. They definitely
Yes.
played with Chelsea Gardner. Yep. So Chelsea Gardner, Angel Goodrich, Carolyn Davis, Aisha Sutherland, Monica Engelman. All of these guys were super influential in a lot of the moves that we made. But I forgot your question. Circle back for me.
No, you just named, you brought up some names I completely forgot about. Monica Engelman, Carolyn Davis, you got Gardner, you got
Yep.
Aisha, you got Angel Goodrich. So you played at KU with a lot of great players. When you look back on your time there at Kansas, what do you take out of it?
It everything. I don't, from the culture to the how much I was loved on there. It turned me into a full blown athlete so far as how to take care of my body. There are a lot of pieces and a lot of the background that guys don't know about. Like Andrea Hootie, she was over our strength and conditioning during the time that we were there. So she was very pivotal in me.
She's back at UConn now.
I mean, pivotal in changing my body. I came in at Kansas at 187. I left at 169. And this is a good one. It's like a good playing weight. So we're talking about 187 where I'm not eating right. My body's not right. I don't know how to move. And now I'm agile, 169, and I can guard 5'2" guards, right? And so those pieces, plyos, the little small things, those things matter. And I think KU does a really, really, really good job of investing in those things. Media training, just those are things that had nothing to do with the basketball, but that definitely helped shape me in my career long term.
After KU, you played overseas. You had stops in Belgium, France, Israel, Italy, Poland, Slovakia, and Sweden. What can you, when you look back at those stops, what do you take out of those?
Very, 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 very. I would probably say I just take out just grateful for the moment. I'm from, like you guys, as we just talked about, but I'm from Detroit, and it's predominantly a black area, and so a lot of the times when I'm going out and meeting different cultures, it's important for me. It's important for me to learn about different people and how different people move, act, think in the sports realm and in life. And so that playing overseas definitely gave me an opportunity to see life from a different perspective, interact with a bunch of different cultures, and I'm very grateful for that opportunity. Basketball, I'm forever in debt.
So right now, you play for the Flint Monarchs in the GWBA, which is the Global Women's Basketball Association.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's a 7-team league. I think it was 4. Now they added 3 more, correct?
We added 3 more, yeah.
And they actually added a Kansas City team.
Yes, we played them twice last year. Yep.
Yeah, I did. I saw that today. So, what's it like playing for the Monarchs?
I really like playing for the Monarchs. So I came back home in 2019. My last stop was Israel. I had a great time there, but coming back and transitioning and trying to figure out, okay, what does life look like after basketball, so to speak. Now it's funny because we're still gonna keep talking about basketball, right? But I still had to get like my feet wet and figuring out how I was gonna operate in the States after being gone for so long. And that league did a really good job of allowing me to be able to stay in shape, get a good competition level, because a lot of those girls still play overseas. They play in the league. They're leading those leagues over there overseas. So it was really good for me and to be able to bump up against some people with the same caliber competition and stuff like that. So I really like the GWBA.
So I like how you just said that about your transition of you came back from Israel and you're like, what am I going to do now? What can you say to athletes out there that might be transitioning from their sport to regular life. Like there is no more sport. What can you say to them?
You know, keep going. Right? Because we hear that a lot in sports, and no, we don't really have a lot of talks where we are taught how to operate outside of that sports realm. So keep going in the sports environment means I keep running, right? Keep going in the sports environment means I keep shooting. But what when it comes into different, I got to fill out job applications, and now I have to, talk to community members, and so there's a different type of style of life there. But I think a lot of the tools we learn in basketball are super transferable. So we learn that in youth sports, right? And which is what I kind of transition and what I do now. But even teaching the kids now that using basketball as a vehicle is probably the best thing, the best piece of advice that I knew and that I held on to, transitioning out into the next thing, understanding there's always something next. It's always the basketball has to stop at one point.
Yes. So you guys have won the FIBA United Cup Invitational
Yeah.
2 years in a row with the Flint Monarchs, and that's in the Dominican Republic, I'm pretty sure. What was it like? I mean, the first time in 22, you guys get the invite to go down there, and you guys won it, and then in 2023, you go back and you win it again because the competition level is a lot tougher, right?
Yeah, so that tournament actually started. I think the first time we went down to that tournament was out in France, and we didn't. I don't think we won that, but the competition. I think it was about 4 teams, and I like the tournament because again, he's bringing in more competition every time, and so you get girls from Florida. You're playing against girls from different parts of the states, but over in another country. So it's a good setup. I think it's a good growing league, a good developmental league, and then also to help with subsidizing from being overseas. So it's super cool.
Yeah, because you guys went to the DR last year and you won that invitational. So
Yep.
does it kind of help with you guys getting more international competition?
It helps with international competition, but so far as Flint goes, it definitely helps with recruiting. Sorry, I
You're
lost you.
back.
I'm
You're
still
back.
here.
Yeah, you're back. I got you. You said
Um,
it definitely helps with recruiting.
yes, it definitely helps with recruiting because we still play those games like stateside, and so those for us are real high level competition. They're developing that league over there overseas, so it's good for us. But I think it helps us in recruiting so far as coming back and getting other girls to play for us here.
You were named the 2023 League Player of the Year. What did that award mean to you?
It was super cool. I took a lot of the summer to kind of just work on staying in shape and to be able to come out and play against some of those girls that are fresh out of college and fresh from overseas and those fresh legs. So I still like going out there and playing with them and getting a good bump and good competition level. So pretty good. Feels pretty good.
Allen Fieldhouse. It has so much history to it. It is on Naismith Drive. It is the home of the rules of basketball. It has had some of the biggest names in basketball history play there, and the creator of basketball, Dr. Naismith, coached there. What was it like for you to get the opportunity to don the crimson and blue and play in Allen Fieldhouse for 4 years?
I would say it was the most life changing experience I've probably for sure thus far. I to be able to play where basketball was invented was one of the reasons that I went there. One of the reasons I stayed there, and one of the reasons that I will forever rep blue and red or crimson blue rock chalk Jayhawk, just because of again like the amount of passion and love that there is in the state. That's how passionate I am about basketball, and so I needed to be around that, and I'm happy that I was able to cultivate my love and passion for basketball in that place for sure in that environment.
Because, you know, you go to late night and you did 4 late nights and it's
Yes,
literally sold out.
16,000.
Yeah, that place is there's people standing just to watch dances and skits and the scrimmages and
Yeah.
the coaches speak and the players speak and Snoop Dogg might be there performing. Shaq on the DJ table. Like, what was late night for like toward for you?
Late night was cool. I think my freshman year was probably the I don't know, I'm not a shy person, but 16,000 people and having to dance and then
And
play.
that was your that's your first time in front of
That was
everybody.
my first time ever playing in front of that amount a crowd. And so I think after doing that, I felt like I was ready to play for sure at the tournament. Because the tournament, right, you hitting the same type of numbers, but late night is something you almost cannot prepare for. You just got to go out there and give it your best. And hope I hope it turns out well. I'm telling you, because yeah, we were practicing for the game and then practicing for dance. So you got to check out late night. Y'all have to check that out.
Yeah, I've been to a couple late nights. It's definitely a whole different atmosphere.
Whole nother vibe.
I haven't been lately in the last couple years. It's just hard to get to because
Is it? I'm gonna have to come back. I'm gonna have to come
well,
check
I
it
mean,
out. I
it's
haven't
just
been in a
there's
while.
just so many people that are going.
Chaotic. I
So
know.
you gotta get there early, get in the door because all these students are trying to get in.
Oh,
So I actually went to the KU State game at KU this year, and KU beat them, and that was pretty. It was pretty special because it was literally packed.
you see, I agree when you say BK.
I haven't been to a KU game where it was that packed in a while. So Asia, your college coach Bonnie Hendrickson recently retired. Just announced it. I think it was this week. What can you say to her about her time coaching you and wishing her well in her retirement?
You know what? I learned a lot during that time just about the game in general. Coach Bonnie's brain, so far as like reading plays, understanding the coach's perspective, I had no idea as a player. And so as I'm getting older, no, really, but as I'm getting older, it was perfect because I'm actually learning like she really was genius with the things that she would create and how fast she was able to transition out there. Um, and also probably the most top level thing that I learned was how to come off of screens and play the screens offensively and defensively properly. And so I'll probably attribute that to her for sure. But she's touched a lot of lives and a lot of women in this sport. As we can see, like where women's sports is going. Coach Bonnie was on her front end. She's older, and so a lot of those players go unnamed, right? They go unnoticed, and the impact that they have on the game, people don't really understand. But it definitely showed in practice. It showed in those runs in the Sweet 16, and it also showed in her tenure over at UC Santa Barbara. So
Because
shout out to Coach Bonnie.
before she came to KU, she led Virginia Tech to a couple NCAA tournaments,
Yeah,
and I think she was there for 6 years, and then she left to come to Kansas.
exactly.
And
Trailblazing.
yeah, went through it was a complete rebuild when she showed up in Lawrence. And then you were part of her biggest 2 seasons going to the Sweet back-to-back years. What all has Asia Boyd been up to here lately?
So here lately, probably since about 2019, I came back into the States as we talked about looking for something. Sorry about that. Looking for something that could transition myself from basketball into what life will kind of be like after basketball. And I kind of came up with the idea. In college, we were introduced to a lot of different technology that helped with breaking down lactic acid buildup, helping the body recover a lot faster. And I learned about recovery and then practiced on myself as a pro. And then I wanted to bring something to Michigan that was kind of like new, cutting edge, but then also that could be affordable to some of the people in the community. And so I started AB Level Up Recovery, which we did for 2 years. We did tournaments. We had different school contracts. We went around. After COVID, we ended up transitioning into just training, just because um we went through a lot with like the mask and like the one-on-one and being so close. And so we probably circle back to recovery and bring it back. But the last 2 years we really locked in on our player development, our training. And I have brought on, it's myself and two other trainers, and we rotate the kids in, but we do very specific training to the players, whatever they need: shooting, dribbling, build up, shooting mechanics, rebounding, defense. Is kind of like a one-stop shop for basketball.
So what's your ultimate goal with AB Level Up?
To be able to provide training and high level training, player development to the urban area. That's our main goal. But then also I'm really trying to keep it out of like that where it builds out into, which is tough, but adding trainers and making sure it's building out properly to where it's not just like a team. I don't want it to look like a team. I never really want it to look like that. It has to stay individual. It has to stay because that's the way that I learned basketball coming up. And so that's the way that I'm able to kind of teach it.
Now, do you want it just to stay in Detroit, or are you trying to, you know, if you
Oh
have
no, I mean I would like to
young Kansas and
expand.
stuff like that?
That's a good question. I would like to expand. I have a lot of contacts down in Texas, and so that would probably be if we do expand, that'd probably be the first place we expand to.
What are some things you would tell your teenage self?
Teenage self. That's a good question, Justin. Teenage self. I would probably tell my teenage self we did it. That's probably what I would say to my teenage self.
Don't give up.
Don't give up. We did it. I was never gonna give up. So I was gonna say that one, but I will say we did it because that was something that, coming up and my AAU coach gave me this exercise, but I do with the kids now. But writing that goal list down and putting it under your pillow, that stuff works. I did that. You write it down about 5 to 10, and then every day you're working towards it. Now we might not get 5 to 10, but I'm going to get one. I'm going to get two, and so I attributed that to every single stage. So middle school, high school, college, and I think it's helped me. I think even now, like setting goals and trying to stick it to them. So probably telling my younger self you did a good job, and I probably just building on that goal setting and striving for everything you want every day.
So, since you were a highly ranked player coming out of high school, highly recruited, and now you're training a lot of high school age girls
Yeah.
that are getting recruited and stuff. When they look at you for advice, are you there for them? Like, I mean, you can give them a lot of advice for the recruiting part.
Yeah, we talk a lot. I talk to my kids a lot about the recruiting process. I also talk to them. I do a lot of public speaking in Detroit. And so not only do my kids that just come to train with me get a piece of that action, but also the kids at all the schools around Michigan. So I try to hit at least 5 a year. And that gives me a chance to talk to a good group of girls about the process and kind of the work ethic, the consistency. That's the biggest piece, I think. The confidence.
So, you're playing for the Flint Monarchs. How much does that help you in the community?
A lot. We do a lot of, that's a good question. We do a lot of community work where we're going out into the elementary schools. At least once or twice, we definitely do there's a rec out in Flint that we go. We talk to people from the community come out and we have a really good time. But just being able to interact with the community, and then a lot of these folks haven't seen me play since high school, right? Since that kind of that Miss PSL era. So I really enjoy playing, and so that they can see kind of my game evolve and where I'm able to come back and just shed light on what it looks like if you keep going.
Right. Asia, I appreciate you coming on here tonight.
I appreciate you, Justin.
Yes, I had a really good time catching up with you, learning your story. I never really knew your whole story um, until I did a lot of the research, and then I was
Yeah,
like, oh wow, I really didn't realize you were ranked that high. I didn't, 4-time All City,
yeah.
2-time All State. I didn't realize all that stuff. As you, I guess my last question for you is, as you look back on your whole basketball career, what can you take out of it?
My whole basketball career. That's a good question. My whole basketball career. And I probably take this and apply it to real life, but like just trying to be working on being a little bit better every day. That was something that I honed in on a lot, especially going from high school to college, right? That transition from being really, really good to being around other players that are really, really, really good too. And just having that mentality to keep going, being in those mindsets where you play a lot, you don't play a lot. And so 1% better every day. Get just a little bit better every day, then I think I'm be okay. And so even now in life, I'm the same way.